Guys, on this special edition of War of Week Boxing, the Iceman Cometh with his thoughts on Usyk, Fury, Arthur Beterbiev, and much, much more on War Week Boxing.
The Prince of Darkness and Affordable Dentures proudly presents the Iceman John Scully.
Woo! Ozzy, thank you very much, sir. And guys, it is my pleasure to introduce at this time one of the best ambassadors and one of the more underrated trainers in boxing at this time, the incomparable Iceman John Scully. John, how are you doing today, sir?
Everything's good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great now that you're here, brother, because we need to pick your brain. Have you seen any good fights lately?
A couple.
I tell you what, the last Saturday was everything that we love about the sport of boxing. Right. The big stage, the drama that ensues, even the ESPN fight sizzled. Oh, my gosh. How about Greg Norman Jr.? Let's just start off with that. Winning the WBO welterweight championship and just taking it to Santillan right in the pocket. Did you see that one coming?
To be honest, I didn't catch the fight. I was not able to watch that fight.
Okay.
So I did miss it, yes.
Oh, well, I tell you what, you need to check out the highlights because it was something to behold. And also Navarrete getting upset by Berenchik in his, shot at gold at 135 pounds. But let's skip to the main course in Saudi Arabia. Alexander Usyk winning the majority decision over Tyson Fury and, making him look like a bobblehead in round number 9. What were your thoughts on that breathtaking main event in the heavyweight division?
I mean, you always need a great heavyweight fight, at least once a year, heavyweight championship. The heavyweight championship is supposed to be the most talked about in the game. You know what I mean? And kind of like the heavyweight division kind of dictates boxing to a certain degree. And, you need a strong heavyweight champion. You need a big fight. You had the Ali Fraziers and the Ali Foremans. There were Ali Holmes and Norton and Holmes and Cooney. We've always had the big heavyweight fights. We haven't had one other than, I would say, Wilder and Fury. We haven't had one in a little while. We needed this, and it lived up to everything. Like it was a high level fight, and there was drama, and we needed it. It was very good for boxing.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this real quick. Our very first fact or fiction this afternoon.
Hey, we ain't ducking and dodging nobody. It's time for fact or fiction.
Woo! Thank you, Floyd. Here's number 1. Should Tyson Fury choose to fight on after putting forth a gallant but losing effort to Usyk this past Saturday, he should ban his father, Big John Fury, from being in his corner during fights. Fact or fiction?
Fact. Well, should his father, like a lot of fathers, once the father proves to be a detriment, you have to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, enough is enough. Like you're not equipped. A lot of fathers just simply are not equipped to handle it, and that's a fact. And this guy has proven it beyond the shadow of any doubt. He's not qualified to be there. He's just not. He's just. It's just a negative thing. And I would say, look, Dad, I love you, but you know, you're a detriment to my career. You're a detriment to my image. You're a detriment to everything.
Yeah, you know what? I really felt for Tyson. I really felt for Javen. I really felt for Andy Lee, because when Javen was trying to get business done, trying to actually give him instruction, all I heard, from where I was sitting 9 hours away, all I heard was, "Come on, we're fighting men. We're fighting men." I really felt for Javen and Andy
I
Lee.
think
Two great boxing minds.
right. Everybody's trying. Here's what people try to do, I think. And now it's probably subconscious, but I think the father, that's kind of all he has to offer, right? Is the whole, we're fighting men and all that stuff, right? But, and they want it to be a soundbite where, hopefully he wins and then he can say, oh, that's why, because I told him we were fighting men. And, it's just, sometimes it just gets a little ridiculous. I think it's part of a bigger problem in boxing. It's part of a bigger problem because everybody in the game wants to be a part of it, and they want to be famous, and they want to be in a clip, and they want people to talk about them. And I think it's that's one aspect of the modern era that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. Well, look, when you had brilliant master motivators like Angelo Dundee,
Right.
at least he was a boxing guy through and through.
Right.
Same with Lou Duva, right? But this guy, yeah, I mean, honestly, I know he's your dad, but come on now. Come on.
I mean, look, he headbutted a guy who looked like he was about 15 years old, right? The guy was like 140 pounds. He looked like a kid. I assume he was an adult, but like there was another guy there, like 5 feet away, who was bigger, and he didn't choose that guy. So you have to say, all right, this is who he is. He chose this little guy to headbutt him, and he ends up getting a cut on his own head. He gets bloody. That's just insult to injury, and it's just the icing on the cake. Like, it's time to remove this guy. He's too much. I know too much.
Yeah, way too much. And like I said, I really felt for Javen and Andy. Two great boxing guys. Speaking of which, though, so can you hear me, sir? Now, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Now I can hear you just fine, sir.
If I froze up or not here.
And you're driving. You can't actually clock us in and put us back in. Can you hear me? Okay, sir. Hold on.
I don't know if you can hear me. I'm going to try and log out and come right back in.
I can hear you just fine. Like I can see my vocals showing up in the mic, but you can't hear me. Yeah, okay. Well, he's going to try to log back in, guys. Let's hope we can get him back on. In the interim, let's say hello to our dear friends. Hey, Miss Denise Wards, how you doing? And there's Floyd Mayweather. How are you doing, Floyd? It's good to see you, man. And as soon as we get Ice back in the day, or back in the queue, but yeah, he was driving at the time. So let's hope we can get him back on very, very soon, because we still have a lot to discuss, and we only have about 50 minutes in which to do it. So hopefully he can pull over and get back on. And so hopefully we can get that going. But guys, we're going to be talking about, when he gets back on, we're going to be talking about, well, what's on the road ahead for the heavyweight division. We're going to be talking about the Ryan Garcia positive drug test. Once again, we all knew that the B sample, I've already gone live, guys. I already did a podcast about that earlier. And if you didn't catch any of that, please check it out immediately following the program. We're also going to get an update on Arthur Beterbiev later on. We're going to talk about, see if he has any thoughts on this weekend's fights. And here he is. Can you hear me now, sir?
I'm back. Yeah, I was frozen.
Ah, great, brother. So what I wanted to ask you, John, is, look, I love Javen. I love Andy. But what were your thoughts on their chosen strategy for their 6'9" heavyweight against, Alexander Usyk?
Like the thing is, I don't know if their chosen strategy is necessarily the one that the fighter actually carries out. Sometimes a fighter might go off track. He might do his own thing. So I don't know if that was necessarily their plan or his plan. And sometimes, to his credit, sometimes fighters have to adjust on the fly. They see something or feel something that we may not see, and he did what he thought he had to do. I thought in the beginning he was kind of moving away. He looked a little defensive, and I think he needed to establish himself a little bit more earlier on in the fight. He didn't really do that, but I don't know what the actual game plan was.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very astute observation because, sometimes the fighter will, kind of like playing jazz, will just kind of improv from what his opponent shows him. That's very astute of you. It seemed to be working because after 7 rounds, I had it scored 5 rounds to 2 in favor of Fury. And then that changed in one fell swoop in the 9th.
Right.
Ooh, he hurt him bad. Like, honestly, we've all seen him floored, doing his Undertaker routine, coming up from a, ostensive knockout. But I've never seen him hurt this badly in any fight.
Right.
And then the wheels quickly fell off, and I don't think he fully recovered for the remainder of the fight. And obviously that was the big difference. But, so you think he should have actually started the fight, imposing his will a little bit more, leaning on him, working behind the jab, moving forward? You think that would have been more effective against Alexander Usyk?
Right. He's a much bigger man, and I thought there was a time in the middle of the fight when I thought the tide was heavily in Tyson's favor, and that Usyk was actually going to get stopped. I thought Usyk was right on the doorstep of getting stopped. And sometimes strategy and thought process, and sometimes it just has to go out the window. Sometimes you just have to let your hands go. You just have to punch and go for it, right? And like Sugar Ray Leonard, when he got you hurt, there was no real strategy at that moment. Like, Ray let his hands go until you were debilitated, and when he sensed that you were weakening, almost like an injured animal, like a deer. And I thought Tyson had Usyk in that position, but he let it slip, and then Usyk came back and dramatically and hurt him really bad, and I thought it was almost a miracle that Tyson got through that round.
Yeah, honestly, what did you think of all of the fan-driven controversy and criticism of Mark Nelson calling it a knockdown when he fell into the ropes? And did you think that was the right call at that time?
Well, I guess the rule is, if you would have fallen down if the ropes weren't there. That's a knockdown. So
Yep.
I would say under the rules, he did what the rules say. I don't really see, people get emotional sometimes in favor of their guy. They wanted Tyson to get stopped, so they wanted to prolong it or whatever. But I mean, the fact is, that's in the rules. He went by the rules. If you fall backwards and the ropes stop you from going down, if you would have went down if the ropes weren't there, that's a knockdown. So he didn't do anything wrong, and I guess some of it depends on who people wanted to win. Their level of anger depends on who they were rooting for.
Yep. Or who they have.
For some people, we gotta, he's gotta let it go and jump on him. For other people, they say, "Oh, the rules are the rules." So, it's hard for people to say, you know what, I wanted Usyk to win, but that was a knockdown, and he had to call it.
And there it is. There it is. I wholeheartedly agree, sir. I think Mark Nelson did a great job on the biggest stage. Definitely a lot better than Mr. Harvey Dock in his last big assignment with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. And I was actually shocked when that happened. Weren't you shocked at Harvey Dock's performance?
Yeah, it was, it's a funny thing. Like I thought it was weird. Like there were certain, we all saw it. We all saw what happened. And, I don't want to say he was trying to give Haney a break, but, if you don't know better and you're looking at it, you say, hey, it seemed like that guy was, drifting one way, you know what I mean? And it was kind of odd. Yeah, it was a weird thing. And I know Harvey to be a very good referee. And I met him, I know him a little bit, and, always been a good guy to me and all that. So, I'm willing to forgive him for, it's not like he's got a career-long history of controversy,
Yeah. Yeah. I just chalk that as a bad day at the office, and you would never question the integrity of someone like Harvey Dock, right?
Right.
So here it is. So what's next for both men if they...
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Yes, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
Oh, no. Are we doing this again? Hold on real quick. Hold on. Let me...
Hello. I don't know if I lost you guys. Let me log in again.
I'm sorry about that, Iceman. Can you hear me, sir?
Oh, I think I hear. Okay, all right, no, I got you. There.
All right, very good. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you.
Very
now,
good.
Yes.
Very good. I tell you what, we've got some questions in the chat. This is from Floyd Joy Sinclair Mayweather Jr. And he says, Iceman, hey, be careful when driving. I got ran over by a camel here in Dubai, still recovering from a broken arm.
You got ran over by a camel.
Yeah. But he says, hey, I have a question. John, do you believe AJ versus Fury is now a possible fight?
I mean, I would assume, especially with the British crowd, it still be a huge fight. I think we're in an era where people think if you lose a fight that you're just done. Like they don't even want to see you anymore sometimes. But the fact is, he's still Tyson Fury, right?
Yep.
If he fights AJ, it's going to be awesome. The event would be awesome. So, of course, they should fight. I always remember my father telling me, he said when he was coming up and watching boxing in the 40s and the 50s, people didn't put so much emphasis on the record. Like a guy like Ralph Tiger Jones, who beat Sugar Ray Robinson, he did not have an impressive record, but everybody loved him because he was a good fighter. They didn't even know what his record was. They didn't care. They just knew Ralph Tiger Jones was fighting and he was probably going to put on a good performance, and we wanted to see him. And so I think, even though a guy loses, I don't think we're supposed to all of a sudden not not want to watch him anymore. So I would think Fury would with AJ would be huge, and in reality, it should happen. That's a fight. It would be kind of like Bo and Lennox Lewis, where 30 years later, you'd be talking about how it didn't happen.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very good point. Very, very good point. And thank you for the question, Floyd. We really appreciate it. And he also says, John, how would you see a Wilder versus Usyk fight go?
Wilder, he didn't. I'll say that he didn't look so hot his last fight, and everybody, I think a lot of people subconsciously or consciously are writing him off, but he's still Deontay Wilder. He's still got that power. Everybody is entitled to a bad night, right? He can come back, and if anyone on earth fought Deontay Wilder and assumed that he was finished, they would be making a huge mistake. You have to treat him, because he's so dangerous, you have to treat him like he's in his prime and he's at his most lethal. So it would definitely be an interesting fight, because with Deontay, anybody he fights, you're gonna wonder what happens if he lands flush. What's gonna happen? Usyk used to be a cruiserweight. He's not the largest framed man ever. What's gonna happen if Wilder lands a flush shot on his chin? It's always gonna be, Wilder's always gonna be a player in the game.
Yeah, with your trainer's eye, we've seen in his last several fights, he's tried to adopt the role as, patient counterpuncher.
Right.
Would that be a good idea against someone like Alexander Usyk?
I mean, at his age, I think it's a mistake to all of a sudden try and, do such a drastic turnaround. I would think, you got to take what got you there. That's what you're good at. That's why you are. That's exactly why you are who you are. It's not like he's a slick boxer and he can fall back on that. You know what I mean? He's got to maintain his power and his aggression. For better or worse, I would recommend him to, keep doing what he's been good at. You want to stay sharp, and you don't want to necessarily be wild and throw wild punches. You want to be sharp, but I don't think he should do any kind of overhaul.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and we wouldn't expect anything less from you, John. Tell you what, he needs to be assertive against a guy like Alexander Usyk, and I think he would have if he got off first and didn't wait on the guy who's, he's got that constant feinting motion. Yeah, I think Wilder may have some success against Usyk if he gets off first and, is more assertive than we've seen him in his last several fights. Speaking of which, what does he have to do to beat the Big Bang, Zhilei Zhang, on June 1st in the main event?
He's got to land his power, number one. I think he's got to use, he's not a big guy with the jab. He's got to use his jab. He's got to set his right hand, but he has to use the jab at the chin, jab at the chest, jab at the sternum, jab at the belly button. He's got to use the jab 100% to keep this guy honest. I don't know if he will do that, but the guy's huge. You don't want to be in a Fury situation where the guy's leaning on you and wearing you down. And I think he needs to set some punches up and run this guy into some stuff, because I know the guy's gonna come forward at points and try to get to Deontay, and Deontay's got to be ready to drop that right hand right through the middle of all that.
Indeed. Very, very good advice. Very good ring corner advice. Sid UK, welcome to the show, sir. He says, John Fury is a bad man. No man born of a woman can beat John Fury. Oh, jeez. Welcome to the show, Sid. Love you here, man. Oh, Chihuahua. But also, JD Spades, welcome to the show, sir. He says, ref did not let Fury fight on the inside. I think that had more to do with Alexander Usyk. Would you say, John?
Yeah, I mean, Usyk is a smart guy, and he knew what how to limit certain things. You know, how to limit the action on the inside. You know, I'd have to watch it again to really see why the fight wasn't fought on the inside, if there was some other reason. But Usyk, you know, he knows what he's doing in there. He's able to control a lot of it, and I think he deserves credit for limiting what Fury was able to do. You know, his strong points.
Indeed, he did. I thought he did a brilliant job in not allowing Fury to tie him up as early as the first round, tucking in his elbows and keeping working. He just kept letting his hands go, or he'd take a step back and throw a good shot. I thought he did a brilliant job until he was ostensibly hurt to the body in the middle rounds.
Right.
And that's when Fury was able to lean on him, and that's when he started to take control of the fight. Once again, I thought Tyson Fury's plan was working until it wasn't. Eric R., welcome to the show, sir. What a treat. Yep, I love hearing Iceman John Scully talk about boxing. I could do that all day long. I'm sure everyone feels the same way. What a treat. Always a treat to catch John on the show. Yes, sir. I was just saying that. Eric R., I love hearing Iceman's story in camp with James Toney pranks. Wait a minute. Do you have a story about James Toney pranking somebody? Oh, we just like. Oh, there you are.
You know what? Let me come right back. Hold on 1 second.
Can you hear me, sir?
Come on.
You can't hear me? Oh boy. My apologies, guys. It looks like he's driving, and yeah, we're fading in and out. But thank you guys for hanging in there. We really appreciate it. Oh, here we go. Let's see it.
Yeah, I keep getting knocked off.
That's quite all right, sir. We're very patient, and we'll wait all day for you, brother, if that's what it takes.
But my James Toney, yeah, I was in training camp a few times with James, and yeah, he was a little out of control with the pranks, and but I was right there with him. Like it was almost like being at summer camp, and you forgot you were training for a fight, because we took it to another level. We were at the Fernwood Resort, both training camps in Pennsylvania, in the Poconos, and so it's a resort where all these people are there from all over Long Island and everywhere, and they're there on vacation. So we're just there for the fights and the training camp. So half of them, they don't know who we are. They don't know who James is. We're just a bunch of young guys running around, and it got to the point where, I mean, they got into my room one morning and threw a bucket of water on me. And
oh, no.
I was dreaming that I was dreaming that I was drowning. and I woke up, and James and his friend Jimmy Griggs, they were running out of my room. They had gotten the key from the front desk. So I went and I got a key. I told the lady at the front desk I was James Toney, and she gave me the key. And I went in his room and I did all kinds of stuff to his. He had food in there that I tampered with, and it was kind of crazy. And I mean, it would be things where it would be 3 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be climbing up the building trying to get into the side sliding glass door. And I had a tail in the back of my head, and it was about 6-7 inches long, and he cut that off. That was
what?
Yeah.
I would have gotten pissed.
Yeah, well, he was famous. James is famous for cutting people's hair. Like, he had electric clippers, cordless clippers. And if he came in your room, his number one goal was to shave your head. He never got my head, but he got the tail. But he got a couple guys. There was one guy, I won't say who he is, but there was one guy, he shaved his head, and that guy actually went home to get a gun. He lived about an hour away, and his wife, I guess, had to stop him from going back with the gun. Yeah, he was James, but James didn't care. James didn't care at all. He was a beast.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. James, have you ever not known him to talk shit to anybody?
Nah, when we would spar, he would talk so much and say such crazy things that in my mind, I would think maybe we're not friends anymore. Like maybe we're, I don't know, something must have happened. We're not friends. And then after we'd be fine, So I started talking back to him, and it got to be, and I saw him with a guy. They talked trash to each other, and it got so crazy that I remember thinking somebody's going to get shot today. Like this is going to be real. Like these guys are out of control. And but it was fun. It was fun. James was definitely fun. Yeah, for sure.
Oh boy, I tell you what, definitely. Yeah, you got to be on your guard, ever vigilant against that guy.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, let's see. Hold on, let's see. Eric R. once again has another question. Coach, what jab would you work with for Wilder? Pawing, probing, piston, or variation? Which approach would you set up for the kill shot from Deontay Wilder?
I mean, honestly, I would like to see Wilder with a sharp, fast, straight jab, like almost like a Larry Holmes type of thing,
Sledgehammer,
like a Mark Breland type of thing. I think he could be super effective with that. It's amazing that he's never adopted that, and I'm sure when Mark Breland was with him, Mark tried to work with him on it, because Mark Breland had a phenomenal jab. Marlon Starling has told me numerous times that Mark Breland had the hardest jab he's ever experienced in amateur, pro, sparring, anything. He said Mark Breland had the hardest jab he's ever been against. And, Wilder could be very effective, but it seems like he's so focused on throwing the big bombs, he doesn't have the temperament or the mentality to really take his time and snap with the jab. I think that's just a personality thing that he's not willing to go through.
Yep, indeed. And so you can forget about trying to teach him an intelligent jab, mixing feints, touch jabs, hard sticking jabs to the body, chest, and head in disjunct intervals. Forget about it. Well, I'll tell you what, Sid UK has the beat. He says, I think Wilder would do well with a proper coach and a team like Bo-Mac or Scully, but he doesn't seem like a listening type. Nah.
I could see that. I could see that in him. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I don't know him, but I could guess, and I would, and based on things Mark said, I guess that could be true. Yeah.
Indeed. Especially blaming Mark Breland for tampering with your water.
Yeah, that was stupid. That. I know Mark. I've known Mark for a long time. Mark's not that type of guy at all. Like, that's just bizarre that he would do that, that he would say that.
Yeah, one of the best guys you'll ever meet in this business, Mark Breland.
Yeah.
Yep. And so number 2, well, hold on real quick. Before we move to number 2, how did you score the fight, or were you scoring the fight at home, John?
I've never scored a fight. I just watch it, and I kind of go with the vibe of who I thought won, and I thought Fury won. I thought Usyk won. But I didn't score it exactly. No.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. It was a great fight either way. I thought the right man won. And, hey, I thought both men made a great account of themselves. And that's usually the case when it's a great, great dramatic fight like that. Right? Yeah. So number 2, fact or fiction, sir? Alexander Usyk will retire instead of giving Fury a highly anticipated rematch. And Tyson will indeed face AJ later this year instead. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I can't see him retiring at all. Unless you guys know something I don't, I'd be very surprised.
No. We just want to get your thoughts on it, brother.
Yeah.
But he is 37. He
Yeah,
is 37.
but
Usyk.
he fought a tremendous fight at 37. So,
Oh, geez,
these
he sure
guys
did.
continue to show that it's a different era. Age is just a number these days. Look at Arthur. It's just a different world. It's different times.
Indeed, indeed. I tell you what. Speaking of your brother Arthur Beterbiev, any status update on the recovery, sir?
Honestly, no. I have not. I've not heard anything. I guess no news is good news. But excuse me, I just I haven't. I know he got the surgery done a few days
Oh no!
about it.
Oh, there we go. You're back now, brother. Very good. Okay, so yeah, I guess no news is indeed good news.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Oh,
looks like we did this again.
That. Take 10 seconds. I'll log back in because I think my alarm is going off and it's bumping me off. So hold on.
Okay, very good, sir. Thank you. I'll tell you what, we still have a long way to go, guys. And Al, I'm going to ask your question consolidated. Also yours as well, Adam. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Bruce, Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Guys, if you haven't already, please go support my brother Bruce. Subscribe to his awesome channel. Always has great guests. Always throws a hell of a fight party. Ice.
I'm back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And yeah, everything's perfect whenever you log out and come back in. But I was just saying, Bruce, thank you for joining us, sir. And thank you for supporting John on this day. The Pigeon. I'm sorry, brother. When John's on the air, he's the only one on the air. We want to focus all of our attention on our special guest. But thank you, Pigeon, for being here and for supporting John on this day. Adam really says, yep, good times at James Toney. And he says, I know Beterbiev takes it one fight at a time, but have you ever talked about him fighting Benavidez, John?
Honestly, I have to tell you this. We've never talked about it because Arthur does not watch boxing. I don't think he knows who Benavidez is, to be honest.
Wow.
I don't think it would kind of be pointless because he's certainly never seen Benavidez fight. So he doesn't watch. He doesn't really care.
So is he one of those guys like Kelly Pavlik or like Tony Thompson from DC, where they were just really good at it ever since they were kids, but they didn't really watch boxing all that much?
Right.
Is Arthur just like that?
Yeah, Arthur's it's almost like a joke in the gym. Like when Canelo fights, I remember Canelo fought Caleb Plant and we were in training camp, and that Monday I knew he didn't watch the fight, but I said, hey, Arthur, did you see the fight? Just because I wanted to hear him tell me no. And he goes, no, I don't watch boxing. And so he can't even, if they ask him, like, he would be polite, but like people who don't know better, they would ask him like, so what do you think, about the light heavyweight division, other than you and Usyk, who are the best guys? And Arthur would probably say something like, I respect all of them and they're all really good. And that's only because he doesn't know any of them. He wouldn't know who to say. So,
wow.
And it's funny. I'll tell you this much, and people won't believe me, but I'm telling you, if he was somewhere and Tank Davis walked up to him, Arthur wouldn't have a clue who Tank Davis was.
That's amazing. I tell you what, guys, this is going to make one hell of an article. I can tell you that right now. Yeah. I could just see that. That is so. Thank you, because he's such a man of very few words, and it's very hard to tell what he actually means. So thank you for that Arthur speak translation. I appreciate it, brother. Sure. Consolidated, welcome to the show, sir. He says, salute, Joe and Scully. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you for supporting John on this day. He says, I was wondering, what let Coach know that Arthur was a special fighter when he first came on board?
I'll tell you, when I first started working with him, there was a technique that I worked with him like very quick, very soon after I joined the team. I worked with him on this maneuver, and he executed it that day in the sparring like he had been doing it for years, and he had just learned it the day before. And then later on, when I was getting ready to leave the gym, he was over in the corner and I'm watching him, and he was working on the maneuver that I showed him. And you don't see that a lot. Like a guy will learn something and then he'll do it when he spars or whatever. But Arthur's the type to go and actually focus on the thing. So he wants to know what how far do you step, and how low do you go, and why do you do that, and why do you do this. So you can't just tell him, you've got to explain to him, and then he's actually going to go and work on it. Like a lot of guys don't work on things, right? He works on it. He's like sharpening his tools all day, every
Wow.
day. And especially an established guy, you may see that with a young guy, but with an established guy, that's unusual, believe it or not. But Arthur's the type. I mean, he works on things, details. He's always using that word, details. I want to know the details.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, John. And thank you for the question, Consolidated. We appreciate it, brother. Bruce says, John, oh boy, how do you think Beterbiev would do against the Mongoose? Archie Moore.
Oh, I mean, that's that's something. I mean, it's a funny thing. Like, there's guys who beat Archie that I have no doubt Arthur would smash, right? Like guys fought more often and they lost, right? They lost fights. There's guys who beat Archie more that I have no doubt Arthur Beterbiev demolishes them. But in a super fight, you're talking unbelievable skills and techniques and things like that. But Arthur has that power. Power is a great equalizer, and I think also Arthur is a very underrated boxer, a very underrated skill set, and I think Archie would recognize that early. I've never thought about it. I'd really have to sit down and watch some film and think about that. But I think with his boxing skills and his strength and his power, Arthur's in that fight 100%. Like Archie's was a very smart man, and he knows he's going to have to be careful with Beterbiev. He would absolutely respect Arthur 100%.
It's amazing how Archie looks like a mongoose.
Yeah.
He's got the same
special. He was special.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. One of a kind. Number 3, fact or fiction, sir. Heavyweight from Germany, Ajit Kabayel, earned a trip to LA and will be Big Baby Jared Anderson's next opponent on August 3rd. Fact or fiction, sir?
I have to tell you, I've never heard of that heavyweight in my life.
Ajit Kabayel, he just beat up and knocked out Frank Sanchez from Cuba.
Oh, okay. And Frank was highly respected, highly touted.
He was a top 10 guy. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing parts of that fight, but yeah, I'm not really familiar enough to really say.
Then we'll move on, my friend. We'll move on. And this was big news today. Number 4, fact or fiction. The New York State Athletic Commission's findings after testing Ryan Garcia's B sample will prove to be inconclusive. As a result, the popular fighter will not be suspended and will get to keep his W over Devin Haney. Fact or fiction?
Well, I don't know what I'm hearing, if it's true or not. I thought I heard today that he failed the test, that the B sample came back positive.
Yes, it did. And then we're going to read this. This is from Ryan Garcia's attorney. He said this: Ryan Garcia is committed to clean and fair competition and has never intentionally used any banned substance. Soon after being notified of his positive test, Ryan voluntarily had his hair collected and shipped to Dr. Pascal Kintz, the foremost expert in toxicology and hair sample analysis. The results of Ryan's hair sample came back negative. This is consistent with contamination and demonstratively proves that Ryan had not ingested Osterine over a period of time, the only way he would have had any advantage whatsoever in the ring. Ryan has voluntarily submitted tests throughout his career, which have always shown negative results. He also tested negative multiple times leading up to the fight against Haney. All of these factors combined with his ultra-low levels from samples taken on April 19th and 20th point to Ryan being a victim of supplement contamination and never receiving any performance-enhancing benefit from the microscopic amounts in his system. We are certain that one of the natural supplements Ryan was using in the lead up to the fight will prove to be contaminated, and we're in the process of testing the supplements to determine the exact source. End quote.
So the test came back basically in Ryan's favor.
Well, obviously we all knew that the B sample, which is just a formality, it's the same sample, it's just the B one, right? It's from the same urine sample, though. Right. We all knew that it was going to come back positive, but there has been a long-standing history of Osterine being found in other supplements, over 70 to be exact, over the past 10 years. This has become a big problem. So have you heard anything about any of this with any other fighters, sir?
No, I'll be completely honest. I know absolutely nothing about steroids. Like I don't know any. I've never read any of the articles about them. I don't know what they do. I have no idea. I don't know at all.
Well, let me ask you this then, and I may have asked you this once before. I don't think so though. But Emmanuel Stewart, you know what he thought, and he let everyone know what he thought about conditioning coaches. He called them, in my best Emmanuel voice, you know what? They're the drug pushers of boxing, in my opinion. Now, from my observation, you never had to worry about anyone pissing dirty until these motherfuckers came into the sport.
Right. Yeah, and I would say that's accurate. Yeah.
You know what? And in talking to Freddie Roach, because everyone used to, like Manuel, used to call Wildcard Jim, you know what? I don't trust any motherfuckers over there. That's Juice Central. That's what he used to call it, Juice Central. And I told Freddie Roach that, and he goes, well, you want to get rid of these guys? You want to get rid of any of this stuff? Get rid of all the strength and conditioning coaches in boxing. He said the same thing. Right. So why don't we ban these guys who have been ostracized from other sports? Why do we allow them to continuously work with our fighters?
I have no idea. Generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of any of the strength coaches I've ever met, except for Arthur's strength coach, who's a guy, his name's Andres, from Poland. This guy is in his 70s, and he's a monster like Arthur's a monster. Like, he plays racquetball against Arthur and beats Arthur at racquetball, which is a very, very high demanding sport. This 70-something-year-old guy beats Arthur in racquetball. So he's a beast, and he puts Arthur through the training. And he told me Arthur's the strongest athlete he's ever worked with in his life. And he's worked with MMA and hockey players, and he said Arthur's the strongest for sure. But other than him, I've had experiences with strength coaches, and without going into big details, but it's proven to me to be everything I thought it was going to be, and that's not a good thing. I think a lot of fighters, they're almost brainwashed into thinking we need strength coaches. Like, I had a fighter one time when I first started training him, and he said, all right, who's going to be my strength coach? And I'm like, man, I'm your strength coach. Like, I know what you need. I know what you need for boxing, right? And you get these guys and they talk, and they're going to do the enzymes and the protein, and we're going to mix the protein with this. And it's like, listen, man, I just want the guy to be able to throw a lot of punches. Okay. And, think about this. And I challenge all of your listeners, think about this. In the last 25 years, since strength coaches have become so prevalent, have you seen anyone on a regular basis, especially, throw as many punches as Cornelius Boza Edwards, Bobby Chacon, Ray Oliveira? Have you seen a fight like Mancini and Arguello? Have you seen a fight like that for the entire duration? These guys have strength coaches, and they still don't throw more than 600 or 700 punches a fight. Meanwhile, Ray Oliveira back in the 90s was throwing 1,700 punches in fights that other people throw 700. He was throwing 1,000 more punches. Him and Vince Phillips, I believe it was, combined threw over 3,000 punches. The most punches, as I recall, I've ever thrown in a fight was like 920, right? In a 10-round fight. These guys threw 3,000 combined in a fight. It's just, and they didn't have strength coaches back then. The guys today have all this stuff. They can do all these things, but they still can't throw punches, and they still get tired in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th round. So what good is it? What exactly is your purpose on this earth if you guys aren't making a noticeable difference in these guys?
That's it. I tell you what, I couldn't have said that any better. Emmanuel would be proud of you, brother. Woo!
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, he said, look, in my opinion, Joseph, the only reason why these guys go with these strength and conditioning coaches is to get out of hard sparring when preparing for a fight. But nothing prepares you for battle like hard sparring.
100%.
This is doing them a great disservice. Right. Emmanuel, he swore by that.
Yeah. I've had guys with strength coaches, but they couldn't spar 10 hard rounds, right? But I've had guys who would laugh at a strength coach and they do 12 rounds all out in the gym, because they have them. If you need the mentality, and if you don't have the mentality, you could have the greatest strength coach on the face of the earth. People need to understand. You could have the greatest strength coach that's ever walked this earth, and he could train you for a year. But if you don't have that mentality, look at Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti in the 9th round of their first fight. If you're not willing and able to do that, then I don't care how many push-ups you can do and how fast you can run the 400-yard dash. You have to have the mentality to withstand war in the way that Arturo and Mickey did. And if you can't do that, then there's not a strength coach on the face of this earth that's going to save you.
You know what? True words were never spoken, John. I tell you what, I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's clean up the sport and let's get these guys out of here. Yep. I'll tell you what. Look, man. Give me a pigeon. I appreciate you joining us when you're on vacation, getting hammered. But please don't bring that little midget up in my chat. Please. And yes, Lewis, thank you. Hit the like and subscribe for please. Big John Scully. I love it. Eric Gar says, yeah, these guys tough today probably would pass out in a 13-round fight, let alone 15. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, they would piss their pants, most fighters today, if it were same-day weigh-ins, 15-round fights. What say you, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different era. We're supposed to be getting stronger and all these things, but I think guys are getting generally softer, mentality-wise.
Indeed.
And a lot of times, like with the strength coach stuff, it's like, I picture a guy like he's a fitness coach and he's got you in a very clean gym, and in the gym, you've got a white sweatsuit on. You need to dig down and dirty training. You know what I mean? You need to go through war. And Emmanuel, I think, had it right. I've always been a guy. I felt like I used to go spar with Vinny Pazienza before a lot of my fights because Vinny sparred like a real fight. And I always said, if I can go 8 or 10 rounds with Vinny at that pace, and he's just not giving up, and he's trying to win. He's not trying to spar. He's trying to win. And I said, that's preparation. Because I know guys who spar 10 rounds and there's no output. They're not digging down. They're not really, really working. You could have a guy work with a strength coach for a year, but he could spar 3 rounds one day and still die because it's a different world of a sparring and fight, the actual fighting aspect of it, the nerves, and you have to be able to deal with the nerves and the tension that comes with real competition, as opposed to just running and working out and lifting weights and doing different things like that.
Yeah, you know what? That was so well said, brother. Once again, bravo, man. I tell you what, boxing back in a much healthier era where guys sat in the pocket and traded. Like, John, could you ever imagine another fight like Marvin Hagler versus John the Beast Mugabe ever happening again at 160?
Right. It's going to be hard to duplicate those kind of fights. Like I said, Gaddy and Ward and Hagler Hearns, but and that's the thing. Like Mugabe, people talk about Hagler Hearns, but that was only 3 rounds. Mugabe lasted way like 3 times longer. I think it was the 11th round.
11th round. That's
and
correct.
That was a tremendous war, a brutal war. And, Mugabe doesn't get credit for that at all. It's unbelievable.
You know what? That was Showtime Championship Boxing, their first broadcast. That was amazing. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, it looks like we're almost out of time. One more Fact or Fiction, brother. Number 6, Edgar Berlanga will face Diego Pacheco on DAZN later this year to determine the September opponent for Canelo, not Christian Mbili. Fact or fiction?
Well, I hope it's Christian, because I'm in the gym with Christian in Montreal, and he's a monster. He's a beast. And he's a super guy. Like, Christian Mbili's one of the nicest guys I know in the boxing game. A super friendly guy, really nice. But he reminds me of Arthur in a way, in that the longer you're in there with him, like if they said, all right, we're going to do 25-round fights, Christian would be all in. He would eat that up. He would love that. And believe me, he would excel in more than most guys, if not anybody, in a 25-round fight. I hope he gets the opportunity, because he's a monster. He's what a lot of people probably don't even know who Christian is yet. But you're going to want to watch this guy when you see him fight, for sure.
Yep. Guys, he is one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing at this time. And boy, he can crack. He can put you on your ass with one clean shot. How do you see his fight this Saturday against Mark Heffron? A tough guy?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't see Christian losing. That's for sure. I mean, he's he's in such good shape. He's in the gym. He trains so hard. I actually had Stephen Butler sparring with him very recently up in Montreal. We were working with each other, and Christian is there, man. He's a monster. I wish more people knew who he was, because he's good for the sport. He's an honest blue collar worker, but he's a really nice guy as well. So I'm a big fan.
Well, let's hope he becomes a huge attraction in Montreal.
Right.
So people will stop avoiding him like the plague.
Right.
So speaking of which, I'll tell you what, how's our boy Stephen Butler looking?
Looking good. I actually just left him like an hour ago, right before we got on the air. He's fighting June 6th in Montreal. We're looking for a great performance, and he's training. I mean, today we had a heck of a workout. I put him through it, and I'm excited. I'm excited about him, because he's rejuvenated, and he's feeling good about himself. He's feeling good about it, his skills and his conditioning. And I think June 6th is going to be very exciting.
Indeed. We can't wait to see him on ESPN Plus as well. Tell you what, is he still with Camille and Eye the Tiger?
Yes, he is.
Very good. It's been a minute since I've invited Camille on the show. I should do that before June 6th. But hey, we've just run out of time, John. And I tell you what, you survived another edition of Fact or Fiction, brother. Congratulations. Any parting shots for our listening audience today, sir?
I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I'm glad people were asking questions, and I really appreciate it.
Everyone loves you, John. You're a rock star, brother. God bless you, sir, and keep up the great work. And we will look for you and Steven on June 6th. Hopefully, we'll have you on the air before that happens, though. But God bless you, John, and thank you for always coming through for us. The fans love you, brother. We can't wait to see what happens. But, brother, have a great weekend if we don't talk to you before then. Guys, on behalf of the Iceman John Scully, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Boxing. Have a great evening, everybody.
The Prince of Darkness and Affordable Dentures proudly presents the Iceman John Scully.